Victory! I've turned the path! Glory to the fallen! Honor to victory!
In ancient Germanic warbands, the real test of leadership did not come during battle. It came afterward, when the warriors gathered to divide the loot. There were no contracts, no salaries, and no written promises holding them together. What kept these men loyal was something much simpler and much riskier. Germanic warbands survived because their leaders shared the spoils fairly, preventing jealousy, anger, and mutiny before they could tear the group apart. How did Germanic warbands prevent mutiny when armed warriors could easily turn on their own leader? And why did the way they shared loot matter more than rank, title, or command? Stay with us as we explore how ancient Germanic warbands used distribution of spoils not just to reward success, but to hold their fragile brotherhood together. The fragile nature of a Germanic warband. A Germanic warband was not a permanent army funded by a state. It was a voluntary group of warriors bound by personal loyalty to a leader. These men were not conscripts. They chose to follow, and that choice could be withdrawn. Each warrior brought his own weapons. The leader did not command obedience through institutions. He depended on reputation, success, and fairness. This made warbands powerful in battle but unstable in peace. Without a constant sense of benefit, loyalty weakened. Without reward, frustration grew. The warband could dissolve as quickly as it formed. Loyalty was built on exchange. In Germanic society, the relationship between leader and warrior followed a deeply rooted cultural pattern. A warrior pledged loyalty, a leader pledged generosity. This was not charity. It was structured reciprocity. The leader was expected to distribute treasure gained in raids and campaigns. Weapons, silver, livestock, captured goods, and prestige objects were divided among followers. A stingy leader was a dangerous leader. If he hoarded wealth, suspicion grew. If he favored a few excessively, resentment spread. Victory meant distribution. After a successful raid, the most critical moment was not the battle itself. It was the division of spoils. This moment determined whether trust deepened or fractured. The leader typically received a larger share, but he was also expected to redistribute high-status items publicly. Gift-giving reinforced visible hierarchy while affirming inclusion. Warriors needed to see fairness enacted. Distribution ceremonies were deliberate. They were social rituals. They reminded everyone that risk had been shared and reward would be shared as well, preventing jealousy before it began. Jealousy is more dangerous than an enemy charge. Germanic warbands understood this instinctively. If one warrior felt overlooked, he could quietly poison morale. Small grievances grew quickly in tight groups. To prevent this, leaders often rewarded not only bravery but participation. Even lesser warriors received tangible recognition. By spreading wealth widely, leaders prevented concentrated bitterness. A divided reward was better than divided loyalty. Mutiny rarely begins loudly. It begins in silence. Shared loot kept that silence from spreading. Wealth as visible proof of worth. In ancient Germanic culture, wealth was not stored privately for long-term accumulation. It was circulated. Treasure displayed a leader's success, but redistributed treasure displayed his legitimacy. Warriors measured leadership through outcomes. A leader who failed to bring back loot risked losing followers. A leader who brought back loot but withheld it risked something worse. Gold arm rings, swords, and fine goods were worn openly. They were physical reminders of shared victories. Reputation traveled faster than armies. Germanic leaders competed not only in battle but in reputation. Stories of generous distribution spread quickly across regions. Young warriors gravitated toward leaders known for fairness and reward. Likewise, tales of greed or favoritism damaged recruitment. A warband without new blood weakened over time. Loot sharing, therefore, had long-term consequences. It shaped the future strength of the group. A leader who invested in his warriors created continuity. A leader who withheld weakened his own legacy. In this way, shared wealth stabilized not only the present warband, but the next one. Structure inside the chaos. From the outside, a Germanic warband could look chaotic. There were no written payroll systems, no fixed ranks stamped into official documents. Yet inside the group, everyone understood the pattern. Senior warriors expected certain honors. Proven fighters earned better shares. Younger men received smaller portions but visible recognition. This informal structure prevented confusion. It created predictability without rigid bureaucracy. Men knew that courage would be rewarded and loyalty remembered. Because expectations were clear, disappointment was less likely to turn into rebellion. Stability came not from strict equality, but from understood hierarchy combined with fairness. The leader as distributor, not owner. A Germanic war leader was not supposed to act as the sole owner of plunder. He was its distributor. His authority depended on how well he transformed victory into shared prosperity. The leader's hall became the center of this redistribution. Feasts, gift-giving, and ceremonial presentation of treasure reinforced the idea that wealth flowed through him, not to him. By placing himself at the center of circulation rather than accumulation, he avoided becoming a target of envy. His power was strengthened because his wealth was seen passing outward, not being hoarded inward. Public ritual and emotional control. Division of loot was rarely quiet or hidden. It was often done in gatherings where everyone could see what was given and to whom. Public distribution reduced suspicion. It replaced rumor with visibility. Warriors witnessed fairness with their own eyes, leaving little room for whispered complaints. These gatherings also reinforced emotional unity. Celebration after battle reminded men that they had survived together. The act of receiving gifts in front of peers deepened bonds. Emotionally, this ritual mattered as much as materially. It prevented isolation and replaced rivalry with shared pride. Managing success and failure. Loot sharing was not only important after victory, it was equally important during periods of limited success. When campaigns produced little wealth, leaders still had to demonstrate generosity through smaller gestures. Sharing food, recognition, and even future promises helped maintain loyalty during lean times. If rewards disappeared entirely, morale weakened. But visible effort to share what little existed showed commitment. This adaptability kept the warband intact even when fortune fluctuated. It prevented sudden collapse during difficult seasons and sustained belief in future opportunity. The economic logic behind generosity. Modern thinking often sees hoarding as strength. In the Germanic world, hoarding weakened leadership. Wealth gained meaning only when it secured loyalty. Generosity acted as investment. Each gift reinforced commitment. Each fair division strengthened the expectation of future reward. Leaders remained generous not out of kindness alone, but because their survival depended on it. Preventing fragmentation. Warbands were vulnerable to fragmentation. Strong warriors could leave and attract followers of their own. Splits often began over perceived injustice rather than battlefield defeat. Sharing loot reduced the desire to splinter. When men felt valued, they stayed. When distribution reflected merit, ambition found satisfaction inside the group instead of outside it. This prevented the rise of rival factions. It kept talent consolidated rather than dispersed. Unity, in this context, was maintained through reward rather than fear. The psychological balance of risk. Every campaign involved risk. Injury, death, and uncertainty were constant realities. If rewards did not match risks, the balance collapsed. Shared loot justified danger. It made sacrifice understandable. Warriors could explain risk to themselves because they trusted the outcome. Without this balance, resentment would grow quickly. Men would question why they fought and for whom. By ensuring that victory translated into tangible benefit, leaders preserved morale and kept courage aligned with expectation. Comparison with later armies. Later, centralized states maintained armies through fixed salaries and strict discipline. Germanic warbands relied on personal bonds and shared gain. Both systems produced capable fighters. But the warband model required constant visible fairness to survive. Where later armies used hierarchy enforced from above, Germanic leaders sustained order through generosity and acted in front of their men. It was not a weaker system, it was a different one, shaped by personal accountability rather than institutional control. Why this model worked in its time. The Germanic warband existed in societies with outstanding state structures capable of permanent enforcement. Loyalty had to be earned repeatedly. Shared loot provided that reinforcement. It renewed commitment after every campaign. It reminded warriors that their leader's success was also their own. Because wealth circulated quickly, satisfaction remained fresh. Trust did not fade between victories. The simplicity of the system made it durable. It depended on human recognition rather than administrative machinery. The collapse. That sharing prevented. Without fair distribution, collapse would have been swift. Warriors would have drifted toward more generous leaders. Alliances would have fractured. Raiding strength would have diminished. Sharing loot prevented this chain reaction. It acted as a stabilizing force inside a structure that lacked permanent safeguards. Mutiny was not prevented by fear. It was prevented by balance. Germanic warbands did not survive by accident. They survived because leaders understood that armed loyalty must be fed. By dividing spoils openly and fairly, leaders prevented jealousy from spreading and ambition from turning inward. Wealth moved through the group instead of pooling at the top. This flow of reward held the warband together long after battle ended. In a world without permanent institutions, distribution was discipline, fairness was authority, and shared gain prevented collapse more effectively than punishment ever could. The way Germanic warbands shared loot forces us to rethink power. Order did not come from chains or cells, it came from visible fairness and remembered generosity. When risk was shared, reward had to be shared too. That simple principle kept warriors loyal in a world where authority could be challenged at any moment. What do you think held these warbands together more strongly, fear, ambition, or fairness? And how different is that from the systems we trust today? Stay with us as we continue exploring how ancient Germanic societies balanced power, loyalty, and survival long before modern states existed.